2 seconds to go. Puts it up and scores at the buzzer. Oh, the man is out on the field.
That's another knockdown. You know, Jim. He got out.
You believe in miracles? Yes.
You are now listening to the All Things Sport Podcast with your hosts, Daimeon Banks and Pierre Banks on Spreaker Radio. Fellas, you know what to do.
What's happening? What's up? What's going on? It's the All Things Sport Podcast, and I'm Daimeon Banks.
And of course, I'm Pierre Banks.
Pierre, you know what time of year it is, my friend. College Football National Championship, playoff wild card weekend in the NFL. We got a lot to talk about on the All Things Sport Podcast this week. I'm super excited to get the people into our show, to give the people what they want, man.
Yeah, man. It was a absolutely wonderful weekend for athletics, man, as a whole. The wild card weekend was crazy. College Football National Championship playoff was even crazier. I mean, it's a wonderful time right now to be a sports fan, man. You got Steph Curry, he's still doing his thing. You got my man up there in Washington right now, scoring his 500th goal. If it wasn't for the youngster up in Pittsburgh still in the limelight, then Alexander Ovechkin probably would be a household name. I mean, lots of major moves being made right now in the Premier League. Barcelona trying to make moves. Real Madrid trying to give Cristiano Ronaldo the coach he needs to win a championship. It's a wonderful time right now to be a sports fan, Daimeon.
Exactly, Pierre. Big moves in the NFL along with the playoffs. You got the former St. Louis Rams moving back to their home in LA. They're going to be called the LA Rams again. Big things going on in sports, man. Our Bruh For Real segment is going to be so dope. We're going back and forth like Aaliyah. We're going back to back like Jordan 96, 97. Whoa. So without further ado,
the All Things Sport Hot Topic.
Now, Pierre, our first hot topic, we have to start with the College Football National Championship, man. Number 1 versus number 2. Dabo and the Clemson Tigers versus Saban and the Alabama Crimson Tide. By now, we all know what the final score was, man. 45-40, Alabama wins the 2015 National Championship. And Nick Saban's 5th National Championship as a head coach, just sitting one away from the legendary Bear Bryant in that regard. Pierre, what can you say about this game? Outstanding game from start to finish.
Unbelievable. I mean, it was unbelievable on both sides. And I commented on Twitter that it had been a while since I had seen a football game at any level that was that good, but also well played. It wasn't plagued with a bunch of injuries or a whole bunch of turnovers. I believe, if memory serves me correctly, that Deshaun Watson actually had the only turnover in the game.
This is correct.
It was a huge turnover too, but I mean, just well played game, man. Some blown coverages here and there, but that's college football. You're going to get that. And to have 85 points scored in that game, did you expect it, Daimeon?
I mean, I did not expect that because you have an elite level talent on both teams and on both sides of the ball. So I didn't expect such a high scoring game, but I'm glad that we got it. Deshaun Watson, that kid is going to be a star. He's special. He is as advertised, setting a national championship record with 405 yards passing and 4 touchdowns. You have the stars showing up. Derrick Henry pounded Clemson on the ground, over 150 yards rushing, 3 touchdowns. And then you got the 2 unsung heroes, in my opinion, for the Alabama Crimson Tide. I was having a Twitter conversation, and I was saying, that if Clemson can get Alabama to throw the ball, then Clemson is going to win this national championship. And boy, did Jacob Coker, I call him Jacob. Boy, did Jacob Coker prove me wrong. He got himself off of the mat after Robert Condici jumped out of that that 4th-story window in Atlanta. He brushed himself off and had himself a great national championship game. 335 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, both of those to tight end O.J. Howard, who had only caught, I think, 3 passes in his whole career.
That was O.J. Howard's first touchdown since 2013, man. That's unbelievable.
Unbelievable. Lane Kiffin deserves so much credit.
Oh, he called a hell of a game.
For unleashing O.J. Howard on the world of football. O.J. Howard needs to take some of his signing bonus from the NFL and give it to Lane Kiffin, because he just got that young man drafted in the first 3 rounds, in my humble.
Yeah, and I can't wait until I can draft him for my fantasy team.
Pierre, what more can you say? The stars showed out for the national championship game. The only hiccup for Clemson as far as their star cornerback was injured.
Yeah, Mackenzie Alexander.
He had to leave the game in the second quarter. And I think that hurt Clemson's pass defense, because O.J. Howard went crazy. 5 catches, 208 yards, big play after big play.
Yeah, when Mackenzie Alexander went down, and that was kind of a weird play too, because it wasn't like he got hit by anybody. You know, he made a pretty good tackle on the running back there and just clutched his left hamstring and wasn't able to come back from that. It was a noticeable difference in that Clemson secondary. Lots of blown coverages after that. I mean, O.J. Howard was wide open a number of times. 13 was wide open a number of times. The transfer from Oregon State, he was open a number of times. So that loss of Mackenzie Alexander, it was felt in the Clemson secondary.
But with that being said, Pierre, I think the game turned with a very, very, very ballsy play call by Nick Saban on that onside kick when the game was tied. Nick Saban went for that onside kick. Alabama recovered. They went on to score. They took that lead, and that just showed you that Nick Saban was willing and able to pull out all the stops to get this national championship. And the thing that I'm most excited about is that on the losing side, Deshaun Watson, I can't wait to see what that kid does for an encore in 2016 through 2017 season. That guy is special, Pierre. You tweeted me during the game and asked me, true or false, would Michael Vick be better in Clemson's offense than Deshaun Watson? And I said true reluctantly, because Deshaun Watson is fabulous. He throws the ball just as well as he runs it. I can't wait to see that young man, play next year and see what he does for an encore.
I mean, that's a tough question to ask too, man, because as I viewed the national championship game and I saw what Deshaun Watson was doing, it just reminded me so much of 99 when Vic basically took on the Florida State Seminoles by himself. And that's unfair to use in this context, because Deshaun Watson did have a great team around him. He did have weapons all over the field on offense. Wayne Gallman, the Wayne train, is an unbelievable running back. Artavis Scott, unbelievable wide receiver, though those two guys were in and out from injuries or whatnot. But it just reminded me of that. And I want to remind you of a point that I made during our Omen segment a couple weeks ago, that if someone puts a hat on Deshaun Watson, we would see how he responded. And the Alabama defense were the ones to put a hat on him. And so we were going to see what he was made of. We saw exactly what he was made of. Still, maybe, because he kept getting up, he kept going, but it did affect him. A couple of times he missed touchdown passes because he was trying to brace for the hit.
Pierre, he didn't miss too many.
That's reality.
No, he didn't miss. In my humble, I don't think Deshaun Watson missed anyone. I saw him make one bad throw, and that was the interception throw. Deshaun Watson played a brilliant game.
Oh, absolutely.
Granted, I mean, it's football. You're going to get hit. And with the caliber of talent that Alabama has on the defensive side of the ball, you're going to get hit. I mean, but come on, you can't deny over 400 yards passing, 4 touchdowns, one turnover, which was a big turnover in the first half when Clemson had a 14-7 lead and the ball allowed Alabama to get their bearings about themselves and tie the game. But I truly believe the 2 biggest sequences of the national championship game was when Clemson took a 24-21 lead late in the third quarter on a 1-yard Wayne Gallman touchdown run. Alabama came back to tie the game at 24 on a field goal. Nick Saban so ballsy, onside kick. They recover. They go down and score a touchdown. And needless to say, the rest is history. Great game, Pierre. Can't wait to see what Clemson does for an encore next year. They're losing a lot of players. Alabama is losing a lot of players, but those two programs, they're at a level now in college football where they just reload. So it'll be interesting to see, next season who falls off and who remains at the elite status in college football.
And that's your humble opinion, and I have no choice but to respect that. You know what I mean? But here's the deal. It was evident that Reuben Foster, Reggie Ragland, and the entire front seven of the Alabama Crimson Tide, not to mention the secondary as well, because they got in on the act, they were laying wood all night long to Deshaun Watson. And to his credit, Deshaun Watson got up and had a career day. I mean, he probably had the best individual effort of anyone on the field that day. And that's my humble opinion. But if you go back to the third quarter, Reuben Foster, really put a hat on him one play. And then the very next play, he had his walk-on wide receiver wide open, or not wide open, but he had some space. He was being covered by the nickel, and then Deshaun Watson tried to fit the ball in there. But when he tried to fit the ball in there, he tucked and braced for the hit.
You're not going to make every throw. You're not going to make every throw. You're not going to make every throw in the game of football. Clemson, ultimately, they had a 24-21 lead with about 4 minutes left in the third quarter. They took the lead in that game. What won that game for Alabama was that onside kick
that played a part.
And Clemson's inability to stop O.J. Howard. Even when they were down in the fourth quarter, they came to within a single possession of tying the game. 2nd down and 13. They throw a harmless swing pass to O.J. Howard. The cornerback comes up, his heart pumps Kool-Aid. He dives at O.J. Howard's feet. O.J. Howard runs down the field for a 50-yard gain, sets them up for an eventual touchdown. Clemson's defense kind of let them down in the second half. I put none of this blame on Deshaun Watson. I am on the Deshaun Watson bandwagon from 96 until infinity.
I'm not saying that it's Deshaun Watson's fault that they lost either. What I'm saying is the hats that were being put on him played a major role in a couple of those touchdown passes that he missed there in the third quarter and then there in the fourth quarter. O.J. Howard played a major part, but that Alabama defense and the game plan to put a hat on Deshaun Watson worked. And it was just a part of the game plan, but it was a huge part.
We're going to have to agree to disagree on that one. Ultimately, Alabama, congratulations to Nick Saban and Alabama Crimson Tide. National champions, 45-40 over a very, very game Clemson Tiger squad. Dabo, we can't say enough about where he has that program. They're here to stay. So with that being said, that's our first hot topic, Pierre. We're just getting warmed up. So maybe that wasn't a hot topic. Maybe that was a very, 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 very warm topic. So if it was a hot topic, so our next topic is going to be the broil topic. We'll be right back after this commercial break. We're going to get into a little NFL action on the All Things Sport podcast.
Thank you for listening to the All Things Sport podcast with Daimeon Banks and Pierre Banks. Be sure to check out the In My Humble YouTube channel for all your sporting needs.
Okay. Yeah.
We're back with more of the All Things Sport podcast with Daimeon Banks and Pierre Banks on Spreaker Radio.
Welcome back to the All Things Sport podcast. I'm Daimeon Banks alongside Pierre Banks. And Pete, we just gave you so much fire, so much heat on the college football national championship game. Again, congrats to Nick Saban and the Alabama Crimson Tide, 45-40 winners over the Clemson Tigers. Now, for our next hot topic, we have to give you some NFL action. Wild card weekend, Pierre. And like I told you, man, I correctly predicted that all 4 road teams would win over the weekend. So you could basically call me, the king of Zamunda. Call me me King Jockey Chauffeur.
Yeah, because you must be Nostradamus knowing that the kicker from Minnesota would miss that chip shot of a field goal. You must have knew that Adam Jones and Vontaze Burfict would come out of retirement in their menacing roles. You must have also knew that